Before viewing video lessons, it is important to read the textbook using the learning guide as your turn-by-turn directions. Then use the learning guide to take organized notes in your own words with examples and pictures. This video continues Human Memory, Chapter 7. In the previous videos, we looked at the model of memory for input, storage, encoding, storage, and retrieval, starting with sensory input that goes to sensory memory. If we pay attention to it, it goes to short-term memory. And what we do with it in short-term memory, called working memory, is going to influence whether or not it gets encoded well, which is going to create a retrievable memory code stored in long-term memory. This is what we really mean when we say we have learned something. The better the memory code, the better our retrieval will be. Now, before we talk about retrieval, we need to look at how memory codes are stored and organized in long-term memory. A lot of people will think about their memory like a file cabinet or a shelf with boxes, or in the case of Harry Potter, shelves with little glass bubbles. So a lot of times we think of our memories as these sort of discrete little units that kind of sit on a shelf or in a drawer in our memory. It turns out that is not at all how memory gets stored. It's not like a file cabinet. It's more like a spider web or a web of connection. You've already seen this web in the previous video. This is when you take this concept and you connect it to other things in your memory. Each of those is connected to other things yet still in your memory, and so you have this interconnected web. We call this web the semantic network. So every memory that you have is stored in a network where it's connected in some sort of meaningful way to something else that's already stored in your memory. There are some other ways that these memories get stored that we want to take a look at. So we're going to look at the systems and types of memory. So one way of looking at memory is to look at it in terms of either retrospective, I'm remembering stuff I already learned, I'm remembering things I've already experienced, or that I'm remembering prospectively, or I'm remembering to perform actions in the future. This is a lot like your to-do list. Now, when we retrieve these memories, when we are actively thinking about our past or our future, it's going to be in our working memory. The problem with this is sometimes this information is sucking up space or capacity in working memory when it really shouldn't. So for example, prospective memory, my to-do list. If you're sitting here watching this video right now, and part of your conscious self is thinking about all the other things you need to do. I need to pay my bills, I need to call my mom, I need to get an oil change, I need to finish that paper, I need to do the laundry, I need to. You've now limited the capacity of your working memory. So with prospective memories, you can actually take them out of working memory with one really easy technique. Write them down. If you write down those to-do tasks and set them over to the side and say, yes, I know I have to do those things, but now is not the time, it can allow that working memory capacity to be increased. The same problem can occur with retrospective memories. Sometimes we spend an awful lot of time thinking about and obsessing about things that have happened in our past. If it's happened in the past, I cannot change it. I cannot build a time machine, quite yet, and go back and undo what was done. So I may spend too much working memory capacity in this moment obsessing and focusing on a past mistake. oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. If I hadn't said that, then that would never have happened, and then that had never have happened, and that wouldn't have happened, and then things like this wouldn't have happened, and then everything would be so much better, but it didn't happen that way, and I should have done this, and I should have done that. And so if part of your conscious self is kind of obsessing about that retrospective memory, you've again limited your capacity. So and oftentimes for those particular memories, it's best to just let them go. Now, our memories are stored in long-term memory in a couple of different ways. So it depends on what type of code is created. If the memory code is a declarative memory code or an explicit memory code, it's going to get stored in one set of systems. If it's non-declarative or implicit, it's going to get stored in a slightly different way. So let's start with the declarative memories. Declarative memories are memories for things that you can declare, memories for things that you can state. Now, the memories that you can state, you can verbalize, are going to be further divided into either semantic or episodic. Semantic memories, semantic, we've heard of that before. Has something to do with meaning. Semantic memories are memories for just the facts. We're just remembering the fact. So, for example, remembering what breed of dog this is would be just a fact. If you have an episodic memory, it's a memory where you are thinking about a previous life experience and you're not remembering isolated little facts that are floating around, but you're actually remembering the experience kind of like an episode of a TV show, where you can play out all the different things that happen, and they said this and I did that and they were wearing this and then, this thing happened. It's like the episode of a TV show. Now, both semantic and episodic memories are combined to make up autobiographical memories. So autobiographical memories would be things like remembering the day you got your first puppy. Another example of this would be the semantic memory of Christmas is December 25th. An episodic memory might be remembering putting the topper on the tree at Christmas time. And an autobiographical memory might be a specific memory in which your dad was trying to do that and he knocked the whole tree over. So declarative memories are memories for things that people state. Non-declarative or implicit memories are memories we're not conscious of, because memories we're conscious of, we have this kind of ability to verbalize and make declarative. They're memories for things that are more procedural, like memories for things that you do, like riding a bike or ice skating. Emotions tend to be procedural memories. They're memories for things that you feel, you do. You can sometimes try to put words to procedural experiences, but it's very difficult. Try describing to another person what it feels like to be in love. Whew. We've been spending thousands of years trying to do that, and I don't think anybody's done that successfully yet. Now, other types of declarative memories, implicit memories that are unconscious, are going to also include things like classical conditioning. So lessons you've learned from classical conditioning are where you have a sort of involuntary reaction. It's not really a conscious choice. You kind of do it. So for example, maybe you've had a bad experience at the dentist. Maybe you've experienced some pain. And so now every time you walk into your dentist office, even though they are the most gentle, sweet, wonderful people in the world that have never harmed you in any way, shape, or form, you feel tense. You feel uncomfortable. That would be something that you had learned through classical conditioning. Now, priming, for example, has to do with stimuli that have been associated with our experiences. And so sometimes we can affect our memory retrieval, we can affect our emotional experience by having certain sort of stimuli or cues at the time of our retrieval. So one of the last things we need to talk about with long-term memory is how long do long-term memories last? Well, theoretically, if you have encoded it well, it lasts forever. And in fact, some memories do. For example, flashbulb memories tend to be memories that stick around forever. These tend to be memories of really extreme experiences in our lives. So traumatic events, for example, tend to get stuck in our memory and they're around forever. However, our retrieval of those memories is often inaccurate, yet we feel overly confident of the accuracy. So we have some retrieval errors. We are capable of retrieving the memory of that event, but some of those details have gotten a little bit fuzzy and a little tiny bit inaccurate. It's kind of like that story about the big fish that you caught. Every time you tell the story, the fish gets a little bit bigger when you tell it. And it's because it gets a little bit bigger in your mind's eye as you retrieve that memory. The story gets a little bit more entertaining each time around. Now, while some memories stick around forever, other memories appear to be lost, or at least we can't quite find them. They may still be rattling around up there in our heads somewhere, but we've been unable to retrieve them. And so in the next video, we're going to focus on retrieval and when we have errors and when we forget.